Hello, everyone, and welcome to another English with Joseph. Here I am in Barcelona. It's sunset time, a time which I don't particularly like. It always seems strange, sunset, another day passed, another day gone, and I often wonder what I've achieved in that time. Well, one thing I do know is that today has been a very busy day with my lessons, and I've been very busy talking to people all over the world. Because this is summer, a lot of people are cancelling at the last moment, or are moving lessons around, or are just not turning up. It doesn't trouble me at this time of year because we all have our lives, but sometimes it can get a little bit annoying. It's been a week since I've made any videos, and the reason for that is because, there's a number of reasons actually. The first reason is because although I've been out walking a lot, it's been quite windy here in Barcelona, and when it's windy, it's not possible to make videos because the sound is not very good. And if I'm out walking, obviously I'm not at home. And if I'm not at home, I can't make a video at home either. So I'm sorry for the delay, but I'm trying hard to make as many videos as I can. I've also been spending some time correcting my social media. I have a few blogs. I have my English with Joseph blog .wordpress.com. I have my Twitter, my Facebook, I have my Gaelic blog, and I have a few other things that I have to update regularly. So they're all coming together, and I've been working at integrating all of them into their own Facebook pages and their own Skype pages. So that's been taking up some time as well. So apologies for not being around very much. Well, in British politics, things are almost certainly heating up and changing, although no one really seems to know where Britain is going. Last week our Prime Minister visited many countries around the world and was telling them that everyone is welcome in the UK. So even though on one hand they're trying to stop a lot of immigration, I don't really know exactly how they're going to do that without affecting the economy. As I said before, I'm very against racial profiling. Our Prime Minister gave a very beautiful speech some weeks ago saying how she admired Polish people, how Polish people are very special to the UK, friends from the war, etc. And therefore their rights will be guaranteed. So it looks like nothing is going to be changing, at least not at the moment with immigration, although they are aware that they have to control numbers. How they're going to do that, I really don't know. But as I said, I'm very pleased if it's not going to be by race, because they can't say, oh, okay, you're Spanish, you can come in, you're Polish, you can't, you're Swedish, you can, you're Dutch, you can't. That was, I think, what Hitler tried to do before the Second World War, and I'd like to think that they've learned something from their mistakes. At least I hope so anyway. Well, as you can see, it's sunset. It's getting dark here kind of quickly. You can probably see all the flashing lights around me, and I'm just going to cross the road here, and I'm going to go for a little walk to another part of the city. I see another part of the city, it's not that far. It's called Plaza Espanola. You may have heard me talking about it before. It's a lovely little square with a church in it and with little coffee shops. Of course, all Chinese, as everything is here. Just to spend maybe a quiet coffee, which would be nice. My teaching practice so far this week, I think I've had one cancellation, which is taking place tomorrow morning, When people cancel, if they don't give me 24 hours notice, italki doesn't let me use that time. So because it's an early lesson, it means that I can sleep. So I'm very happy about that. I don't have to get up so early in the morning, so I'll be pleased about that. Otherwise, my teaching practice is going very well. If you're not connected to me on Twitter and Facebook, I strongly suggest that you do, because there's lots of little hints and tips and web pages I often post on there from my WordPress site, and also I retweet certain other English teachers and their accounts as well. So please do remember to check me out on Facebook, facebook.com, English with Joseph, and also Twitter, which is McTaggartJ7. I've been spending quite a bit of time with the gerunds recently. Now, I don't know if you know what the gerund is. I may have spoken about it before, but I'll quickly go through it again. The gerund is the one which looks like a participle. For example, I am doing, I am going, I am swimming, I am driving. That verb formation there with the ing at the end is a participle, okay? But sometimes it can be used as a noun. And when it's used as a noun, it changes. For example, smoking is bad for you. So I'm not saying I am smoking. I'm simply saying smoking is bad for you. Okay. Eating is good for you. I'm not saying I am eating or you are eating, but it's the same word. So when it's used in this way, it's called a gerund. And it's often used after prepositions as well. For example, I am good at painting. So I'm not saying I'm painting, I'm just saying I'm good at painting. Okay? So these are the few ways in which the gerund comes up. It's quite a complicated topic, so I'm not going to talk about it in a lot of detail. Okay? But that just gives you the basics. And in the last week or so, the gerund has been featuring quite heavily in my classes. It's very interesting when one point of grammar comes up again and again. I'm not sure if it's because of the way I teach, the same thing keeps coming up, or if it's just coincidence. But anyway, the gerund has been something which has been coming up in the last 2 weeks or so, and I'm very pleased about it. I like the gerund. Sometimes people ask me, what's your favorite thing that you like to teach? Or what is it that you feel in English that you're very passionate about? Well, one thing which I'm very passionate about is accent reduction. Accent reduction and speaking fluently and correct breathing is very important for me. Okay? So when you breathe, you always have to remember to take a deep breath, push your belly out and your chest in, and you let your words flow on your breath. It's very important. If you don't do that, what happens is your breathing will be shallow and like this, and your words will break. You have to really be able to take a very deep breath before you begin speaking. Okay, so that your breathing is correct. It's very important. And when your breathing is correct, your words will flow. Because of course you have the words to make them flow, you know. So your words won't be broken. They will flow on your breath like this. And that's one thing you can do to quickly improve your accent and your pitch and your tone. Again, it's very complicated, but this is the way children speak in the beginning when they read. And they also learn to correct their breathing and to read. And indeed, you also have to learn how to correct this. It's very simple. It's just practice. It's technique. Learning to speak is nothing to do with learning to read or write. So accent reduction is one of my favorite things. About grammar, one of my favorite things is definitely the present perfect and the past perfect. I'm very passionate about the perfect tenses. One of the reasons why I'm very passionate about the perfect tenses is because I honestly believe that if you don't use them, they can cause wars, they can cause division, and worst of all, they can break down relationships. Now, I know that sounds a bit extreme. How can a language do that? But you would be very surprised what a language can and can't do. The present perfect is the tense of the poets, the artists, the religious people, the possibilities, the truth, the might be, the have been, the has been, you know. Think of a love song. Love songs are always, for example, using the perfect tenses. It must have been love, for example, you know. There's all kinds of ways it's expressed. The problem is, if you put everything into the box of time, you're only speaking about what you're able to do in a day. For example, yesterday I went to the hospital. Yeah, yesterday I walked my dog at 3 o'clock. Or even last week I went on holiday. Because the past tense by its very nature is all about time, automatically you're leaving out the emotion. If I just said, I've been on holiday, there's so many more places I can take that conversation. And think about the question I'm answering. If I say last week I was on holiday, I'm answering the question, what did I do last week? But if I say, where have you been? I have been on holiday is a much nicer and much more gentle answer. Also, if you think of yesterday I was at the doctor, what question am I answering there? I'm answering, where were you yesterday? Something my boss would ask. But what if my wife was asking me the same question? Would I just say what I did yesterday? Well, no, because likely she's going to ask, how have you been? Or where have you been? And I can say, I have been at the hospital. There's no time involved because I'm talking about the seriousness of the situation. I know it sounds a bit complicated and maybe the examples I've given have not been the best ones, so let me just give you one final one. And it's my favorite example. Imagine that you and I work together, okay? And there's another man, we'll call him John. And John and I have a big argument. So you tell me, oh, Joseph, you have to talk to John because it's not good that you argue. By the way, did you see the dirt on these streets? It's disgusting. It's always like that here. Sorry to change the subject quickly. But anyway, oh, there's a post box. It's yellow. They have yellow post boxes here. In the UK, they're always red. A post box where you put your letter in. Okay, so where was I? Sorry, I got completely confused there. I was telling you about John. Okay, so imagine that John and I work together in the office and that we have a big fight because I don't like John. And you tell me, Joseph, you have to talk to John. And I say, okay. So one day I come to the office, I could say, oh, by the way, I have spoken to John. Okay, and you say, oh, that's wonderful news. Now I could say, by the way, on Tuesday I spoke to John, but you don't care when I spoke to him. It's not important when I spoke to him. And if I say I spoke to John on Tuesday, I'm answering the question, what did you do on Tuesday? I'm not answering the question, have you spoken to John? You see, it's more of an emotional tense. Elsewhere on this video site, I've explained the present perfect in a lot more detail. And there's also a booklet which is on Amazon, written by me, which you can find. If you really don't want to download it from Amazon, if you write to me, I'll give it to you. You can have it. Remember, on the Dailymotion site, I don't see comments. For some reason, Dailymotion don't allow me to access comments, okay? So if you want the book, just write to me and I'll send it to you. just to ask for the booklet on the present perfect. Again, look at this, isn't that disgusting? The streets are very dirty here. Barcelona is changing a lot, and I've been here 2 years now. For those of you who watch these videos regularly, you'll know that I'm always saying I've seen a real decline in the standard of living here. There's something, I don't really know what's happening, to be honest, but people are becoming a little bit more uneasy, a little bit more political, a little bit more aggressive. It's not pleasant anymore living here. It's a lovely place to come on holiday, but it's certainly not the place it was when I came. There's more of an edge now, and it's very sad. Part of it is because they've decided they no longer want tourists. I don't quite know what the point of that is, but they've been closing down hotels and discotheques to ensure that tourists don't come here. Now, there are tourists who come here from England who are always drunk and who have parties. They see Barcelona as a bohemian, hedonistic city, which it certainly is not. But I don't agree with their decision, because there are some very deep problems here, but it's certainly not caused by tourists. I think perhaps it's caused by the corruption of very bad politicians, which is another very serious problem. Anyway, Barcelona is actually a lovely place. So if you are planning to come here, do come. But it's probably going to cost more than it would have done a few years ago, because they've arranged some kind of deal with hotels to ensure that they get a better class of tourists, hotels being expensive hotels. So the prices are certainly going up for people who want to visit the city. You should come, but be warned, it's not safe, it can be very dirty, and you can expect to be pickpocketed if you try to hang around the tourist zones. So as I say, the problem is not all about tourists. There are a few problems in this city, and tourists, I think, are the least of them. Anyway, please do come, because it's a lovely place and the people are lovely. They are very nice, despite the way that it's going or the way that it's changing. Okay, here I am in Plaza Espanola. This is a South American zone of Barcelona. There's lots of South Americans here, as you can probably see. The place is covered with Bolivians and Peruvians, as well as the local Spanish people. So this is a very well-known spot for people to gather. Again, I just think it's dirty, but that's just me. And there's a lovely church over there I was telling you about. You can see the lights around it. I don't actually know what that church is called. I would like to know, because it's very beautiful inside. And one day I will take you inside and you can see it, when there's not young people hanging around the door. It's actually closed now anyway. This is a fountain of some kind. I don't know what it is. Construida esta fuente para... I don't know what that says. Exclusively for the use of its inhabitants. Okay. Interesting. So this is Plaza Espanola. Very different from Plaza España, which is a very different thing. For those of you, again, who know me, you will also know that I'm returning to the UK in October. I'll be in Scotland, so I'll be walking you around Scotland. Probably not in the evening time, because it'll be far too cold for me. But I will still be walking you around somewhere, making these videos. Or you might find me just clinging to heat at home, clinging or hanging over a cup of coffee. So anyway, you'll still be hearing from me, and I'll still be making these videos, but I'll be somewhere else. Okay, so this is Plaza Espanola, and now I'm going to go for dinner, probably to one of my favorite Chinese restaurants, which I passed just a few moments ago. Okay, so to all of you I wish you a very, very good night. Thank you and goodbye.